How do you know what egg is the healthiest egg for you? Find out on this next episode of Digest This.
Welcome to Digest This, the show that helps you revolutionize your digestive health. Here are your hosts, Dr. Liz Cruz and Tina Nunziato.
Hello, and welcome to Digest This. I'm Dr. Liz Cruz, and I've got Tina Nunziato sitting right here by my side. Thank you for joining us. If you are a first-time listener, we welcome you. And if you're one of our regular listeners, we thank you for always being on this podcast with us on a weekly basis. So let's talk about eggs. It's a great topic. Yeah. I don't think we've ever talked about eggs,
I don't think
have
so.
we?
No.
Yeah, so Tina found this amazing article, really interesting, talking about eggs and what is the best egg for you. I mean, you know, if you've gone to the store, to the grocery store, and you go into the egg section, it can be quite overwhelming.
Yes,
very
a little daunting.
Yeah, a little daunting because there's all sorts of eggs out there. So this was a nice article that just kind of broke it down into the different types of eggs, and so we thought we'd share this with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I learned something.
I did too.
About eggs.
I learned a lot about eggs.
We try to buy the healthiest of the healthiest eggs, and maybe we haven't been doing the best job in
So
the
wait,
world,
what are the eggs that we're buying? What does it say on the package
So
usually?
we buy free range
Free range.
Free range eggs.
Well, I found out that there's actually a higher level.
There is.
Higher level. So
Yes.
so the article actually started out talking about the nutritional benefits of eggs, and because there's a lot of controversy about eggs, especially in regards to cholesterol, and so the article talked about the fact that eggs actually have a lot of nutrients, have a lot of great, vitamins and the essential amino acids.
Yeah, so an egg
protein.
actually is a complete protein because it has all 9 essential amino acids. But it also, which when you're eating a complete protein, it helps to give you stable energy levels. It also helps to build and maintain and repair tissue and organs and things like that. So that's the main reason why they're good. But they're high in protein. They've got good phosphorus, good selenium, choline. They have vitamin A, vitamin B, iron, folate. There's a lot of good things about eggs.
Absolutely.
But like you mentioned with the cholesterol, they're like 60% supposedly of your daily value of cholesterol comes from one egg.
That's
so
crazy.
Yeah, and there's a lot of controversy over whether that form of cholesterol truly does affect the heart or not. Like, is that the type of cholesterol that gets into the bloodstream and things like that? But the other thing with eggs is that they do have saturated fat in them, and saturated fat definitely causes heart issues. So with all of that controversy, they say that eggs should always be eaten in moderation. Like, a lot of people eat eggs every day for breakfast. Probably not the best thing to be doing.
Right.
Especially if you have cholesterol issues to begin with.
Well, and also depending on how you cook it.
Right.
Because if you're frying your egg every single day
more oil
and
and
having
butter
2
and-
eggs so now you're talking now about all these added unhealthy fats.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So just eating eggs in moderation,
So how
is
much?
important.
2 times, 3
every
times?
time. Like, I tell people, moderation usually means 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay.
No more than that. So I mean,
Perfect.
there's again, other people will tell you otherwise, but that's kind of typically my rule of thumb for anything in moderation. So yeah.
And there are healthy ways to make your eggs, by the way. I mean, you can boil your eggs, do a hard boil. You can do a soft boil egg. I mean, typically when we make eggs, one of our kids loves hard-boiled eggs, so we do the hard-boiled egg for about 10, 12 minutes. But if you want a soft-boiled egg, which I love, 7 minutes.
7 minutes.
7 minutes from the time it starts boiling. So I actually put the egg in once it starts boiling, but 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And hard stop, okay? You got to put that under some cold water once you're done with those 7 minutes. But you can poach your eggs.
That's all healthier than frying.
Exactly.
Like what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, eggs. I mean, they're so good. You can scramble them. That's another great way to eat them. So many ways to eat your eggs.
Yes. Yeah, and so as far as like what eggs are healthier than other eggs, so there's 3 things that you might see on an egg carton when you go to buy eggs. let's call them the healthier eggs, okay? Because if it's not a healthy egg, it's not going to put anything on the carton, right? But a lot of these distributors will, of course, tout everything they can about their egg to get you to buy it, right? And this is what you love, right? All the marketing on the packaging.
Well, I love
You're
a colorful packaging.
Kind of a sucker for all the marketing words.
If it's colorful and it's got all the right...
That's right. So you just have to understand, what do all these words mean, right?
Yes.
So the first word that you might see is pasture-raised eggs. Okay, now this is eggs that come from chickens that are allowed to go all over the farm, right? They're not caged, they're not put in a barn, they can walk all over, they can eat grass, they can eat insects, they can eat grain. But they're basically free chickens, okay?
Very.
And in these chickens, the eggs tend to contain more vitamins and minerals, more omegas, because they're getting this kind of varied diet. Their eggs are just
healthier.
Healthier.
They're healthier.
Yeah. But then you've got the other terms, right? Like cage-free and free range, okay? So cage-free, it sounds great, right? Because a lot of us are actually some people don't even know that chickens are kept in cages. So let's just talk about that. I mean, there's a lot of chickens that are kept in cages. They're pumped with hormones and antibiotics to get them to produce faster. Those are very unhealthy eggs to be eating. So you really should be looking for these key terms that we're teaching you. But cage-free is one of those things where you're like, oh, cage-free, that means they're not in a cage, okay? So all that means, though, is that even though they're not in a cage, they might still be in a barn. And they might be stuck in the barn, and they might not be able to go past the barn doors, okay? And that means that they're fed whatever the farmer gives them, okay? Now, if it's typically grain that chickens are fed, the farmer could enrich that grain with things that could help beef up the eggs, but you don't know that, right? It's not going to say that on the carton that, oh, this farmer used, eggs that are fed these chickens enriched food, right? So that's the difference between cage-free and pasteurized. Then you've got the free range. Again, same thing, where the chickens are allowed to go beyond the doors of the barn, okay? But maybe they don't have access to all the grass and the insects. They're still fed grain, okay? So yes, they can get out and see the sunshine, okay, which is wonderful. But their diet is primarily based on the farmer and whether the farmer gives them the enriched food, right? So kind of the top would be pasture raised, then free range, then cage free. Okay, those would be in order. And then you'll see that the prices of those eggs will be respective of those levels of so like pasture raised eggs are going to be way more expensive than cage free eggs.
Do they even have pasture raised, like at where we do grocery shopping?
Yeah,
they do pasture range.
See all the different.
Okay, because I always see cage free and I see range free.
Yeah, free range.
Or free range, but I don't remember seeing pasture.
Yeah, you just have to look for them.
Yeah,
and they're
raised.
They're the most expensive eggs.
Right.
Okay. So the other thing that you'll see on egg cartons or not is whether it's organic. So what does that mean if an egg is organic? It basically means that the chicken was fed organic food, meaning the food doesn't come from anything that has hormones or they're not fed antibiotics. It's not a GMO grain.
Right. No pesticides.
There's no pesticides used in the grain. So again, it's about what the chicken is fed to produce the organic egg. Okay, so that's what organic means. And then in the article, it also talked about white versus brown eggs, which I thought was very fascinating because I didn't know that about eggs. Did you want to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah, I thought it was fascinating too because for whatever reason, I've always thought brown eggs were healthier. And I don't know where that came from. And by the way, the other thing the article talked about is that eggs come in different colors, which is true. And I remember my grandmother always had chickens, and there were a few chickens that she had that I remember those were like her pride and joy because they laid blue, like baby blue colored eggs. And so she was just in love with those chickens. But brown, typically brown eggs come from brown feathered chickens and white eggs come from white feathered chickens. And surprisingly, there's really no difference in the nutrition.
I know.
So now, because when I buy eggs, so typically Tina's doing the grocery shopping, but on occasion I will go and buy some stuff. And if I'm getting eggs for whatever reason, maybe we're going to be baking or something, I've always gone for the brown eggs. Haven't you?
I do too, yeah. I tend to get the brown eggs, and again, maybe it's just a thing that you just kind of think the brown egg is healthier, but yeah, there's literally no nutritional difference between the brown egg and the white egg. And it's all about the color of the chicken.
Exactly, the color of the chicken.
So I wonder why the blue eggs aren't laid by blue chickens.
So there was something about the blue, these chickens, their feet were like, I can't remember specifically, and honestly I can't remember what color their feathers were, but supposedly
I don't think they were blue feathered chickens.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Maybe it's based too on what they eat a little bit,
perhaps,
or just the type of breed of chicken.
Yeah,
but then there's also, to get even more complicated with eggs, there's also a grade given to the eggs. There's the AA grade, the single A grade, and the B grade. Okay,
I would guess that the AA is the best.
The best, of course, yes. And then the B grade, actually, you can't even find in stores. Mostly, it's mostly used for baking and food production type things. But it's basically, the AA egg is the best egg to buy because the egg, it has the highest level of substance in it. The egg whites and the yolks are like full, and there's a lot of it. And then the regular, there's the A is just a little bit less, and then the B is even less. So when you're looking at, again, who would have thought it was so complicated to buy eggs, right? I mean,
well, first of all, don't worry about the brown and the white.
Right,
okay?
Exactly.
Yeah, brown and white doesn't make a difference. But it sounds like we want to try to get pasture raised.
Yes, if you're trying to eat kind of the best of the best, eggs, pasture raised would be the best of the best. And then, of course, if you can find organic, AA grade pasture raised eggs, that would be like the best of the best of the best eggs.
I will tell you that I specifically, when I have been baking, I'm not as picky with the type of egg I'm going to use. Like to what you said, like the grade B is used for, like food production, mass food production or baking. I've I won't specifically feel like I need to get the farm raised or the cage free eggs when I'm going to be doing baking.
Right.
I don't know, I guess because I'm putting sugar, I'm putting all kinds of sugar. I'm not caring as much
using your like super healthy eggs.
Exactly.
Meal. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So anyways, but the article was really a great article. I learned a lot because I didn't know that pasture raised was really the top. So pasture raised, grade AA, and organic.
Yeah.
Organic.
Top of the line eggs.
Exactly. All right. So if you want to connect with us, please go to our website, drlizcruz.com. There's a magenta color button on the home page that you can click, and you can schedule a free 30-minute wellness consult. That can be done from anywhere in the world, and it's free, done over the phone. If you have not subscribed to our podcast, please subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And lastly, if you haven't rated us, please rate us and please give us a 5 so that other people just like you will find us. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you on the next podcast.
Thank you for joining Dr. Liz Cruz and Tina Nunziato. To learn more about their revolutionary products and services, go online to www.drlizcruz.com.